Hey guys, Sean T. Phillips, Taylor brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Today gonna go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale. Some of the big releases that come out today is Venom, and there's a number of different retail exclusives of that one. I believe there's a Target and a Walmart one, but the big one that I know is the really cool Best Buy exclusive Steelbook of that one. It's a seriously cool Steelbook. Also though, one of the other big releases today is the film The Predator, and there's exclusives of that one as well. Best Buy also has a really cool Steelbook of that one, and I think Walmart and Target have some exclusives of that as well. Also, there's a number of other interesting things today, like Assassination Nation, Simple Favor, and a few other ones as well. Also, though, at the end of this video, I'm going to have a whole bunch of brand new DVD and Blu-ray reviews, some things I received to review and talk about for you guys, so definitely stay tuned for those at the end of this video. I'm showing some really cool stuff, some new stuff from Shout Factory, the Shield Complete Blu-ray collection from Mill Creek, and I'm going to be showing a closer look inside that set. That's a really cool set. Also though, this past week from Wednesday until Monday, I was away in Vegas, so I filmed a brand new DVD, Blu-ray, and toy hunting video. So that one will be going up this Sunday. So definitely be on the lookout for that one. I went to a whole bunch of different DVD and Blu-ray stores looking for out-of-print stuff. But anyway though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today.
Into Target we go.
But I'm crossing my fingers that they have all the new stuff put out in here, because in the very front of the store it was all the releases from last week. So fingers crossed they've changed it out in the actual movie section, because like I've mentioned in the past, so often lately in Targets they don't have the new stuff out on Tuesdays, and it's in multiple occasions. It seems to happen a lot, but hopefully they're out.
Yeah, but in here though they have out like some of them, but like I said, I thought there was exclusives of these ones, so I'm probably gonna have to head to another one. And also though, this one came out last week. I'm gonna review this one probably next Tuesday. I didn't get to watch this one yet, but I'll talk about that one next Tuesday. But yeah, I don't see all this stuff out, so like I mentioned, that happens a lot. So we'll go to another one though and see if that one has all the other things out, because like I said, I'm pretty certain that there are exclusive of those.
Oh, Target, how you've let thee down again.
Into Walmart we go. But in here though, it looks like they have all their new stuff out. For Venom though, they have this really cool slipcover on their 4K. Really love this image. This is the one that's on the Blu-ray. I actually think this is a much cooler image on this. And then, they're doing that stuff again, where some of these ones, the discs are in here, and other ones it's just the slipcover, and you actually have to have them get it. But this one is $27.96 for this, and then it's $24.99 for the Predator 4K. And I want to try and get the Best Buy Steelbook of this. They do have a Walmart exclusive here of the Predator, which includes this like exclusive kind of like green Fugitive Predator here. This is actually really cool. It's one of those Funko Pop Pocket Keychain things here, and that one's $22.99 here for this edition that has the Blu-ray. I don't think they have any exclusives here that include the 4K. They also have in here this Predator 4 movie collection for $29.99, which has in here some like collectible like cards inside of this one. Also here though, like I mentioned, Assassination Nation came out today, as well as A House with a Clock on Its Walls, which was directed by Eli Roth. Really like this one. I'm going to be talking about this one at the end of this video. They do have down here for actually a really good price. I think this is like the cheapest it is everywhere. I believe Assassination Nation for $17.96. But I saw this one in theaters and absolutely love this movie. This is definitely one of my favorites of the year. Such a good movie. Definitely going to pick this one up. This has like deleted and scenes on this one and a gag reel. So at least this one has some extras on this. But definitely, if you guys haven't seen this one, highly recommend this. Also, Simple Favor was today, and the 4K of that is $24.96, and the standard Blu-ray is $19.96. As well as this is another one that came out today. I don't know much about this movie with Bruce Willis and Adrian Brody, Airstrike. Like I said, I know nothing about this one, but if you guys have watched this one, let me know if this one is worth checking out. Though other than that, over here, I believe this one may have been today, and I don't think that there is a Blu-ray of this. I'm not sure though. This Little Women new version of this story, which another one, I don't know too much about this one, like how this one was. If you guys have seen that though, let me know if that one is worth checking out. me see though if I see anything else in here different. I don't believe there's anything else in here different today, but really glad they have this one, because when I was looking online, you know, for Best Buy, it didn't look like they had that. But oh yeah, this was today as well. Fahrenheit 1119, which was, you know, the new Michael Moore film. It's another one. I believe there's a Blu-ray of this. I didn't get to see this documentary. Another one. Let me know if you guys have seen this one, if this is worth watching or not. I've seen most of the Michael Moore documentaries. It's like, but like I said, have not seen that one. Some of these though I didn't show like when these first came out because they weren't on the shelf. This Killing House one here. And they, you know, the Night Shift, I bought that one last week. And Remote Viewing, I don't believe I show that one as well in here. Other than that, though, I think this is another one they didn't have out the first week, was this one, Tiny Christmas. But definitely, though, going to pick up this one, though.
Yeah, but like I said, though, I ended up picking up the Assassination Nation one in there. If you guys haven't seen this one, like I was saying, this is an absolute must-watch. But now I'm going to head over to another Target. Hopefully that one has put out the new stuff just so I can show you guys the exclusives.
Into the second Target we go. But in here though, they did have out the exclusive, so that's good. And they have here the Venom, and this one has here a 24-page gallery book which has images from the movie and the set. And this one, it's not like a digibook. It actually has a standalone actual book thing in here, so it's not connected or anything like that. I haven't actually seen one like this before, where it's actually just the Blu-ray and then a standalone book thing attached like that. It's just kind of like loose. And then the other exclusive today was the Predator here, and this one is a digibook of this one. This has a 36-page book on the evolution of the Predator character, so that's really cool here. So glad they had these ones out. Also though, in the actual section over there, they had Assassination Nation over there, which was actually a $19.99 here, as well as the new Michael Moore film was there as well. And this is a cool thing they have here, this Brady Bunch party game, which has like this like lenticular cover, and it's like has the characters' heads moving. This is actually a really cool thing here. So it's some kind of a like card game here, kind of like this one that I showed a couple weeks back for Home Alone. This Home Alone, the game, which is like a similar kind of game. This is definitely a cool thing here, just too for this lenticular cover, like it's a display thing. That's very cool though.
And this past weekend, like I mentioned, I was away in Vegas and actually got to see quite a few different movies. The first one I saw was the film Mortal Engines, which is, you know, and I had to write it down because I had to want to make sure I didn't forget any of these. Was Mortal Engines, which was, you know, actually written by Peter Jackson. It was essentially, though, set in like this future world where everything is like, everyone lives in like these like giant, like huge, like traveling homes that are like on this like raised platform kind of cars, and there's like thousands of people living in them, and they're like some of them are like bigger than others, and they're like fighting off like the little homes and stuff, of like the little rolling homes, and like, you know, kind of like taking their cars and like transportation things in, and, you know, grinding them up and turning them into fuel and everything. And it's this one woman that they end up bringing in on the boat, the kind of car thing that she's in. And of course, though, she has a vendetta against like kind of the head of the huge rolling craft thing, and she's like trying to go after him and everything, and like because of something that he did. The movie was kind of reminded me a little bit like kind of like the vibe of like Waterworld a little bit. It wasn't perfect or anything, but it definitely was a cool concept, and there was some really cool stuff in it. The other one that I saw was Clint Eastwood's new film, The Mule, and this one was from the same writer as Gran Torino, which was one of my favorite Clint Eastwood's films. And this one, you know, I know it's got some mixed reviews and everything, but this one, I thought this was great. Like, and I was glad Clint Eastwood was acting again in this. And this was him playing this guy, you know, he was his character who was 90 years old, and it's based on a true story, who, like, you know, he was a farmer who kind of did like agriculture, and he was like growing these like, you know, exclusive kind of rare type of flowers and everything, and his business had fallen apart when the internet came around, and, you know, he just really wasn't making any money, and, you know, his family kind of has disowned him, and he had to pay for these things, and he didn't have any money for all these things, so he ended up one way or another falling into being a driver, driving drugs and everything. And it's kind of him and like driving these drugs and you know, because he's never had any tickets or anything, and it was actually kind of an interesting movie. Like, I really got into it, and I cried a little bit to the movie. I liked it. Like I said, I like Clint Eastwood. I like Clint Eastwood when he's acting, and he was playing like a real like curmudgeon-y character in some of the movie and everything. The other one that I saw, which was one I was really excited to see, was the movie starring Rachel McAdams and Emma Stone, and that was the film The Favorite, and that's from the same director who did the movie Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I absolutely loved that movie. He also directed The Lobster, which somehow I missed seeing that one. I really need to see that. At some point I'm going to have to pick up the Blu-ray of that, because that came out like a year or two back. But the Favorite was basically, though, I think it was set in like 1660 or something like that, and it was about this queen, and then she was kind of like her friend was played by Rachel Wise. I hope I didn't say McAdams in the beginning, but Rachel Wise. And it was essentially, though, like they had this kind of relationship that was going on, and you kind of figure out what was going on. And Rachel Wise's cousin, played by Emma Stone, comes to the the castle where the queen lives and everything, to see her aunt, like I said, played by Rachel Wise, and she's there to try and like hopefully get a job, because like her she's no longer like has any money or anything, so she's there to kind of work, and she ends up kind of trying to work with the queen and kind of trying to get higher in the kind of like trying to get back like what she lost and everything. And the movie was amazing. It was kind of like I was reading some people's like a comparison of what the director was trying to go for, like with the film Amadeus, and it was kind of having that vibe mixed with like the movie like The Beast from the 70s, like that kind of a movie. And it was like it wasn't, from the trailers and everything, some people might think it was like this super like serious kind of like period piece, and it was all like comedic, and there was all these weird things in it, and like amazing music, and the cinematography had all these like trippy angles, and definitely like in my top like 5 films of the year. It was amazing. And it was one of those movies, though, it did prompt walkouts. Like there was some people who were seeing it who like didn't know what they were seeing. So there were people like a couple of different people walking out of the movie and everything, but I really liked it. And the last one that I saw, like I said, I saw a bunch of stuff, that's why there's like a long review segment here, was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And that was one, from the trailers, like, some of the trailers I thought were better than others, and I didn't know how it was going to be, and I saw that it was getting like really, really good reviews. And I have to say, it probably is like the top Spider-Man movie, like next to the original one with Tobey Maguire, which I know that some people kind of say that has mixed reviews, and not everyone loves it, but I really like those Sam Raimi films. I like the Spider-Man Homecoming as well as the Andrew Garfield movies. I pretty much liked all the Spider-Mans, but this one, was an animated film, and it was done to look like comic books with like the shading and like kind of the textures and everything on the animation. And I feel like this Spider-Man film really felt like the most sort of hip, and with the writing and like everything in it. And it was just essentially, though, something ended up happening, and it ended up being a second Spider-Man. And it was this kid, and it's like at the same time there was 2 Spider-Men, and it was like him going through the, figuring things out and everything. And of course, though, there were some villains and everything in it. I don't want to ruin anything about it, but honestly, though, that's absolutely a must-watch, though. If you guys have seen, though, either any of the films that I saw this past weekend, though, let me know in the comments below, what you guys thought of them. I'd love to hear what you thought of the movies, or any movies that you saw this past weekend.
Into Best Buy we go. But in here, though, they have a little standee here for Venom, and it's $34.99 for the Steelbook of this one here. This is a really, really cool Steelbook for this one. I think this is actually one of the coolest images I've seen on a Steelbook in a long time. Just such a great image on this. And they have a Blu-ray Steelbook as well. I'm not sure the price of the Blu-ray one, but I think it's $27.99 for the Blu-ray, and then $34.99 for the 4K Steelbook. But they also had in here, like I was mentioning, the 4K Steelbook of the Predator here. And this is another one. I really love this image on this one. This is the image that they had on some of the standees, and I think some of the posters had this as well, but definitely gonna pick this one up, though, because I don't have this one, and really did like this one a lot. Here, though, in the section, though, they have this Airstrike movie here as well for $17.96. They did have one copy of Assassination Nation, and that one's $19.99, but this one seems to be the cheapest, like I said, at Walmart, from what I can tell everywhere else. This is one of the other things that released today, Schindler's List on 4K for $22.99. This is the brand new edition of this one. This is a really good movie, but just such a sad movie. Not one of those ones that you can watch too much. It's really sad. They have the standard Blu-ray of this one as well, which is $11.99 for that one. So actually good prices on both of these ones, though.
Yeah, so I ended up picking up the Predator 4K Steelbook in there. I really love this one. The Venom one was really cool as well. I reviewed the standard Blu-ray of that one last Tuesday. If you guys didn't see that, check out my last Tuesday shopping video to hear what I thought of that one. Also, though, in the comments below, let me know, what you guys picked up. If you guys picked up any DVDs or Blu-rays today, or if you guys picked up any of the exclusives today. Also, be sure to let me know, too, what you guys thought of all the DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed at the end of this video. And as always, too, if you guys enjoy these videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Thanks again for all the support and everything. Now stay tuned for the brand new reviews. And the first one I got here is from Arrow Video. I just want you guys to know that this one is available. And it's a blaxploitation film here called Willie Dynamite, which is basically, though, about this pimp in New York City who is trying to be the absolute #1 pimp. He's doing anything he can to be #1. He's super flashy. He's real over the top. The clothes he wears are really crazy. And it's basically, though, because he's trying to be #1, everyone's kind of trying to bring him down. Like, the police are trying to come after him. He has other pimps going after him. He basically gets himself into all sorts of kind of problems. He has people coming after him, all sorts of issues. But if you guys are fans of blaxploitation films, this is an absolute must-watch. Really, really fun film on here. This one has, though, a high-definition transfer on here, transfer from the original film elements by Universal, so it looks really, really good on Blu-ray. It also has on here a feature-length audio commentary track with critic and lecturer Sergio Mims, who's the host and producer of the Bad Mother film show, as well as a theatrical trailer and reversible artwork on this one. And this has, a really, really cool cover art on this. But inside, like I said, it has a reversible artwork for the original poster image for the film as well. So that's one thing I really like on a lot of the Arrow releases when they have the reversible cover art. Also, though, inside of here, there's a booklet which has, pictures and things like that from the film. It has, like, stills from the film and, like, stuff about the cast and some, behind-the-scenes kind of stuff and all that kind of stuff in here. So a really, really cool film here. So, like I said, if you guys are fans of blaxploitation films, this is absolutely a must-watch. The next one here is from Shout Factory, and this is from their Shout Factory Select line. And this is one of these movies that I consider probably, like, one of the top comedies. It is, like, an absolutely hilarious film, and it's probably, I have to say, I really think it's my favorite Steve Martin movie, and it probably tied, though, with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That movie is amazing, but this movie, I don't know, when it comes to slapstick comedy and really, really super funny, because Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is comedy, but it's also some really sad stuff to me as well, in that movie. But this movie here is Steve Martin in the film here, The Jerk. This is directed by Carl Reiner, and Steve Martin worked with Carl Reiner on a couple other films, like The Man with Two Brains. I believe that was Carl Reiner's, and there was 2 or 3 other ones. But this one, though, is probably, I have to say, this is my favorite of the ones that I've seen that he worked on with Carl Reiner, that Carl Reiner had directed. But The Man with Two Brains was really funny as well. But this is basically, though, about Steve Martin's character, and it's he's raised by this African-American family, and it's he's trying to find, his purpose in life and what his big thing he's going to do. So he ends up, leaving his house and going on kind of this journey. And there's this ridiculous stuff too when he's getting ready to leave and he's standing outside, and there's some of these insane sequences in this movie because he kind of gets into every kind of problem you can imagine in the book on this kind of journey of trying to kind of find himself and figure out what he's going to do with himself. And there's stuff with him getting a job at this gas station, and like I said, every time he things are starting to look like they might be okay, then things just fall apart in these absolutely ridiculous ways. And just his character, he just gets into all kind of problems. And I don't know, I absolutely love this movie. I feel like this movie is one of those movies you don't hear about it as much as you should, and it's just absolutely hilarious. And there's also some stuff with him this idea that he has for something that he wants to make. I don't want to ruin anything about it, but there's this he comes up with a certain type of thing that he really wants to make, and it's just this ridiculous thing. But it has on here, though, brand new 2K transfers of the film. Really great transfer on this movie. It has on here a conversation with Steve Martin and Carl Reiner. It was a brand new conversation with them talking about the movie, so really cool to have that on here, as well as a conversation with co-writers, both of the co-writers in this one as well as Lost Film strips on here of Carlos Las Vegas de Corona, as well as theatrical trailers on this one. And the next one here is from Shout Factory's Scream Factory line, and this is the collector's edition here of Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which stars Christopher Lee. I haven't seen all of the Christopher Lee Dracula films. This is essentially, though, you know, the ones that I've seen, though, I really like. And this one, I saw this one years back when this came back out on Blu-ray years ago. And this is a brand new 4K scan, though. So this is a brand new scan of the film. So it looks amazing. But this is essentially, though, about the character of Dracula, who in the very beginning is dead, and it's basically, though, about these tourists that end up wandering into the Dracula's castle, and Dracula's castle is still kind of manned by like the people that like were there in the castle, like Igor and like those kind of characters and stuff that are there, but like basically, though, they end up kind of out in the middle of nowhere, these tourists, and they get, like, taken in by this carriage to Dracula's castle, and something ends up happening which brings back Dracula. And there's this amazing sequence of, like, him, like, coming back to life, and, like, the way they did it is just so cool. And it's, like, I don't know, this is actually probably one of the best of, like, these, you know, of the older Dracula films that I've seen. And Christopher Lee, you know, is such a, you know, so good in this role, and, like I said, I have not seen all the Dracula films. There's so many of them that I need to see. But this was, I think this is considered like, this might be like the sequel. I don't know if there was, I know there was like the original Christopher Lee film, but I don't know if there was any others between this one and the original and this one. I don't know for 100% certain, though. This one is from 1965. Of course, it's, you know, from Hammer horror films as well. Like I said, if you guys have never seen this movie, an absolute must-watch. And this has, like I said, the brand new 4K transfer on this one. Also has a new commentary track on here with author Troy Haworth. Audio commentary track on here, archival one with Christopher Lee, Susan Farmer, Francis Matthews, Barbara Shelley, the World of Hammer episode, Dracula and the Undead, documentary Back to Black, theatrical trailer, and still gallery on this one. And the next one here is from Universal, and this is the Eli Roth film. This is a really different film for Eli Roth, because this is his first PG film, because, you know, I think of him, of course, from, you know, like Hostel and Cabin Fever and things like that. So much, you know, Green Inferno, so much more, like, you know, really intense R-rated films. This is his first kids film, kids horror film, and this is a movie called The House with a Clock in Its Walls, and this stars Jack Black and Cate Blanchett. And this is basically, though, about Jack Black's character. You know, his nephew ends up coming to live with him because of what happened to his parents, and he ends up coming to live with him, and Jack Black lives in this, like, you know, this really kind of creepy house that has, like, all these clocks in it, and it's, like, his character, though, Jack Black's character is, like, this magician who can do all kind of illusions and tricks and things like that, and he's told, you know, he tells his nephew, like, you know, you can kind of do as you wish, and he doesn't really care and have any real rules or anything. He only has one rule, which is, like, not to touch this one book, not to mess with it, and if he messes with his book, he's out of the house. Like, but he can do anything else. He doesn't care. He doesn't really care if the kid does his homework. He doesn't care about anything. All he cares about, you know, is if he doesn't touch this book. And, you know, in this house, though, there's this, like, clicking. There's some kind of, like, a clock. And that's why I say the house with a clock in its walls was, like, clicking there and, like, driving Jack Black's character nuts. And he's always, like, messing around with things and trying to, like, dig through the walls and trying to find this thing. And essentially, though, the movie, though, is about this kid trying to figure out exactly what the origin to this clock is that is in these walls somewhere. And, of course, though, there ends up being all sorts of kind of problems. But this is a really fun movie. And I thought Eli Roth did a really good job in this movie for being a kid's film, too. And for being something extremely different for him to have done. I think he should definitely continue on doing kids films. Of course, I'd love to see him still do the horror, you know, R-rated horror movies as well. But I think he definitely should do more things like this. Because I don't know, he still can, like, make them, like those kind of classic, like, you don't see too often, you know, horror movies for kids. You know, there really aren't too many of them anymore. And this is in that kind of vein of, it's not all horror, but it's in that same kind of sort of like Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark, you know, kind of vibe. This has on here, though, an alternate opening and an alternate ending, gag reel, some featurettes on this film, Eli Roth Director's Journal, so a whole bunch of different features on this one as well. Next one here is from the Warner Archive, and they sent over a free copy of this one to let you guys know about this release. And this is The Thing from Another World. And this is the movie, you know, the original Thing film, because, you know, John Carpenter's film, The Thing, was a remake of this one. you know, there was a lot of differences and things like that to his film. And both of these movies, though, I think, you know, the John Carpenter's as well as this one, I feel like are really, really good movies. And this one, I actually saw this one as a little kid before I saw John Carpenter's, because as a little kid, like some of the first like horror movies that I was seeing, like when I was like 5 and 6 and things like that, were like classic horror films, like, you know, the Universal monster films and those kind of things, and like The Bad Seed, which still to this day is like one of my top favorite movies of all time. But like, you know, these were kind of like the things that I was watching first, like, so kind of like my introduction to horror films. This is essentially, though, all set out in the Arctic, like, you know, in the snow. It's basically about these scientists who end up like finding this like sort of like an alien type thing in the ice, and they bring up this kind of body that they you know, dig up, and there's like these great scenes of it like trying to thaw out. And I feel like the thawing out stuff in here with the body encased in ice, or whatever the thing is encased in ice, kind of is what inspired like Encino Man, those scenes of like the body in the ice kind of thing. But of course, though, the thing that's in this ice, you know, it kind of is going to cause a whole lot of problems for everybody on this, like, Arctic station. And it's just a really, really cool and actually pretty creepy movie. And if you guys are a fan of The Thing, though, and you guys didn't know this, like I said, this was the original film that, you know, inspired the remake. But definitely would recommend you guys check this out. Like I said, I've always really liked this movie. It looks really, really good on Blu-ray as well. And the next one I got here is from Mill Creek, and this is a really, really cool set. This is one of those things that when I heard that this was announced, that this was coming out, I was so excited, because this is a show that I watched, you know, when this first came on. Like, you know, I think I watched through, the show went on for 7 seasons. I feel like I watched at least 3 or 4 seasons of the show when this was, you know, this was originally airing. And this is The Shield, the complete series here on Blu-ray. So cool this one has got now a Blu-ray release. I'm going to do a full unboxing here and show you guys how this looks and everything. If you guys don't know this show, this is a like super, super gritty cop show. But it's not like the typical kind of cop shows where it's like, you know, the cops are trying to do the right thing and they're like really, you know, for the most part, usually it's like good cops and they're like trying to take down the bad guys and everything. In this show, though, these cops, though, are up to no good. They're like stealing drugs and they're like stealing money and they're kind of scheming things. And, you know, Michael Chiklis is like the head, you know, of the cops there. They all kind of work under him, and it's like essentially, though, like there are all sorts of kind of problems that they're getting into, and like I said, they're scheming things up. They're planning on, like, you know, they're basically they're kind of totally ruthless, these cops, what they're doing and everything. And it's just such a gritty show. This was a show that originally aired on, you know, on FX. And it was one of the early shows to where it was something that wasn't on HBO, where, you know, shows were starting to be much more adult, having way more adult language. And like I think Nip Tuck might have been the first one to be like that, I think. But I don't know if this was first or it was Nip Tuck. I can't remember. But of course now when you look at like FX, they don't have to, you know, edit any dirty words. They can say anything on there. It's like, but this was like one of the originators of, you know, TV kind of changing and things kind of changing where there wasn't as much censoring, and regular TV or, you know, cable TV was starting to become a little bit more like things like HBO and Showtime and Cinemax and that kind of stuff. And now it's very similar, you know, except for like, you know, certain degrees of things that they still can't show on like FX and stuff like that. This is like I said, one of the originators to kind of getting to that point where it was changing things over. Now I'm going to show you guys a look inside of here. Now on Blu-ray, though, I have to say, though, this looks amazing. They did, you know, Mill Creek did an amazing job cleaning this up, and this is a really cool set, the way this opens and everything. It's like a magnetic thing here, like a magnetic clasp thing here that opens up, and inside, though, the layout on this is so cool, because when it opens up, you see the you know, police badge here. Then you see all the characters, or most of the characters from the show. Like I said, this is like a magnetic thing. Opens up like this, and inside of here, this comes out, and it's actually a kind of like a metal kind of badge inside. So this is a really cool thing in this, and it opens up it looks like a book, kind of like a sort of like an evidence kind of book, the way it opens. And inside of here, you get like a note from the creator. And there's like kind of like reviews and stuff like that, quote reviews, and it has each season in here. So it's like season 1, disc 1, and it has on here cast and crew commentary on every episode, deleted scenes, and you have pictures from the you know, characters from the show. Season 1, disc 2, season 2, disc 1. Season 2, Disc 2, Season 3, Disc 1, you know, Season 3, Disc 2, Season 3, Disc 3. So it's just a really, really great layout in this. I really love the way they put this together. And it also has some new features in this one as well. It has 2 bonus discs. And the one thing on here is really cool is it has a 2018 cast and crew reunion, which has joined creator Sean Ryan, you know, family meeting 10 years after the series finale, featuring Michael Chiklis, Catherine Dent, Paula Grace, Walton Goggins. You know, Walton Goggins, you know, who is, you know, went on to be in like tons of movies and things, and he was also, you know, in the last, I think, 2 years was on Vice Principals, which I love that show, absolutely hilarious show. It has on here, though, a number of other cast members, CCH Pounder on here. And like I said, as well as tons of deleted scenes on this one, all kinds of, like, so many different features on this. This is a, you know, release filled with, like, you know, so much stuff on here. Just a really absolutely amazing release. I love the way they put this together. I can't wait to see some of the future, you know, titles, you know, TV titles and stuff that Mill Creek releases in the future, because this is just a really, and it's also a really cool hardbound box that this is in as well. So if you guys are fans of this show, this is an absolute must pick up for sure. They also sent over to Mill Creek 2 4K releases. I don't know if they've released too many other 4Ks in the past. I can't remember for sure. But these are 2 IMAX films here. IMAX original films. I believe these were both IMAX, so these ones played like in I might be totally wrong, but I believe they played like in the science centers and places like that where you know, would originally see these ones when these first came out. This has on here, there's 2 different ones, IMAX film, Beautiful Planet, and then IMAX Journey to the South Pacific. Beautiful Planet is all kind of like views of the planet from space, and like space stuff from the space station and everything. And this has all kinds of stuff from like the deep sea kind of footage, and like all kind of undersea kind of stuff, and then also stuff on the land as well. But these are definitely, like, you know, if you guys have 4K, but it also has in here the Blu-ray as well as digital copies of these. But if you guys have the 4K capacities, these are definitely what I would say is like good things to show for examples of, you know, showing, you know, what 4K can do. And the big thing, like I've talked about in the past when I've talked about 4K, is like, I feel like the big thing you notice is like the brightness levels. I feel like 4K with like especially like daytime scenes and everything, it just boosts the color and everything so much, and it really like becomes like a super vibrant picture. So if you guys have 4K though, this is absolutely, you know, definitely ones you guys should check out. Also, if you guys are fans of IMAX documentaries, this one here is from RLJ Entertainment. I just finished watching this one now. This is a movie here called Monster Party. I don't want to ruin too much about what this is about, but essentially though, because I read a little more about this than I feel like I should have. But essentially, though, this is about these 3 friends. And the one girl, though, she, like, works... She kind of, like, does kind of catering kind of stuff where she... Not, like, where she's, like, making the food, but she kind of comes to, like, houses and helps them with their throwing parties and stuff like that. So she works for this one couple, like, you know, this family who like, have this mansion. And she's always there kind of helping when they're having dinner parties and everything. But these 3 friends, though, they always... What they do is... they go around and like break into houses and steal like some money. They get like $300 here, $300 there. And the one guy, his father is ended up being kidnapped by these bad guys because he owes him this money. And it's basically, though, they have to figure out how they're going to get a huge amount of money. And these 2 guys are like saying to the girl who goes and works these, you know, catering kind of job stuff, well, you know, this mansion, I bet there's a whole lot of money in there, and we could come there with you, and we could pretend like we work there with you, and while you're like helping them with the food and everything, when one of us can be up there messing around trying to see if we can figure out how to get into the safe and how to get some money and steal some things and everything and get like a big score and everything. Of course, though, you know, little they know, there's something very bad about this party and these people that are there, and there's some really weird types that are coming into this party. The one guy, the one who comes in the party is from the show Scream Queens. You know, he was in the first season of Scream Queens, and I recognize some of the other people from a few other things as well. The Robin Tunney, though, Robin Tunney, you know, plays the mother in this film, who's like throwing the party. You know, she's in like, it was in lots of stuff I, you know, watched, like, you know, throughout the years, like The Craft and Empire Records, and that movie. I always had negative reviews, but I always liked it, called Supernova. Tons of stuff, though. A lot of TV and everything, but she's the mother in this. But essentially, though, something is very bad about this party and what this party is, and it just does not turn out well. That's all I can say. But it is a super, super gory movie, and it's not like a CGI kind of gore thing. It's all practical gore in this, and it's like really, really fun. Definitely top recommendation. If you guys have watched this one, you know, let me know in the comments below, though, what you thought of this one. The next one here is from HBO. Want to let you guys know that this one is available, and this is the a series here starring Amy Adams, and this is Sharp Objects. This has on here, though, a cast and crew discuss the creation of the fictional town of Wind Gap. But this is essentially, though, about Amy Adams' character, who is in town, and she's like this reporter journalist who is trying to, you know, there was like these two girls that were killed in the town, and like something, there's a lot of mystery behind the whole thing, and she goes back into the town because that's actually where she's from. But when she's back there, you know, it becomes a weird situation for her because like she has a strained relationship with her mother, and she's kind of like steps into this whole thing, and she's got some of her own sort of problems, and like certain things are kind of like, you know, she has like certain things that kind of cause her to set her off more and more and everything, and coming back in here and getting around with the mother again is not helping her. And it's just like a character piece about the whole thing, and about also the investigation of like what happened to these girls and like who was involved with it, and trying to get to the bottom of the whole thing. But you know, a really, really well done series here. You know, like I said, this is from HBO. And the next ones here are all from Umbrella Entertainment, which is a company in Australia. And these ones are also all region free. So these ones have no region code locking. So you guys can watch these ones in the US on a regular Blu-ray player. So you don't have to have any region, you know, like an all region player or anything like that. So like I said, keep in mind all these ones, you can watch them in the, you know, in America, no problem. And you can watch them in Australia, of course. But there's no, you don't have to have any special player or anything to see them. The first one here is the Ultimate Edition here, which has a Blu-ray as well as a bonus DVD of George Romero's Day of the Dead. And this is probably, you know, as much as I love, you know, when it comes to all the Romero films, I think this, to me, honestly, is my favorite. I absolutely love Dawn of the Dead, but this one, this is my most watch of all of them, and this is probably one of my most watched zombie movies, you know, probably tied with Return of the Living Dead. But there's something about this movie that I absolutely love. This I have watched this movie, usually watch this movie at least like 2 times a year. I watch this so many times. This is essentially, though, you know, this takes place after, of course, Dawn of the Dead. This is basically, though, all the people now are underground in this kind of government facility, and things have totally fallen apart down there, and they're having all kind of scuffles and problems with each other, and they're losing their mind down there. And there's one doctor there who's doing all kinds of crazy, weird experiments, trying to figure out how, if he can like cure the dead, and doing all these kind of weird things. And like he has his own, like, he's like kind of talking to the zombies down there and doing all kinds of odd stuff. And it's just essentially, though, about like the Captain Rhodes, who is like the head of, you know, the army guys down there in the bunker with all of them, in the scientific researchers. He's down there cracking up and like becoming like ruthless and screaming at everybody. And you know, Joe Pilato plays Captain Rhodes. Like, he's my favorite character in this movie because he's just like totally nuts. But this is a great zombie movie, a super, super, super gory film. Has on here tons of features. It has a commentary track on here with George Romero, Tom Savini, as well as commentary with Greg Nicotero, Howard Berger, you know, who did the special effects. It's a whole bunch of different, you know, documentaries and behind the scenes stuff on here. But a really, really great release. It also has in here, though, a reversible artwork and this really cool image to the film as well. But like I said, if you guys have never seen this movie, this is one of those ones that's an absolute must watch. I also love the music in this movie, and there's like something about this movie too, I mean the music in this movie, that I always feel like kind of is like hinting with like the vibe of the music to like what, you know, kind of what they want to happen in their lives and where they kind of want to go. I don't know. I always kind of, I don't know. I really just love that music as well. The next one here is from Umbrella Entertainment as well, and this is a Ozploitation, from their Ozploitation Classics line. And this is a movie here called Chain Reaction. This is a movie about, it's basically, though, about like the scientific experiment dealing with radiation, all sorts of stuff that is done to this guy, and also like deals with like kind of like it's basically though all this stuff dealing with radiation, and this couple that ends up coming into this area on like kind of like a vacation, and the guy ends up escaping, this radiated kind of guy who's like, you know, has like radiated eyes and all sorts of stuff, and you know, the government and everything who are doing these tests are trying to find him, and he kind of wanders his way into where this couple is. It's essentially though about them all kind of trapped out there with the government, trying to figure out how they're going to get away. It's like a really, really intense movie. But this has on here, though, extended Not Quite Hollywood interviews, which is that documentary. I think I reviewed that one a while back, which is all about, you know, Australian exploitation films. That has extended interviews from that, as well as Thrills of Nuclear Spills featurette, as well as deleted and extended scenes, The Man at the Edge of Fantasy early cut, theatrical trailer, TV spot, VHS trailer, and an image gallery on this one. It's a movie, too, here from Umbrella Entertainment called Single White Female, which stars Bridget Fonda, Jennifer Jason Leigh. This is one of those movies, another one of those movies I've always really liked this movie. It's essentially, though, about Bridget Fonda's character ends up getting, you know, kind of ends up, she's like, her fiancé, she ends up sort of leaving him, and they kind of break up. And she has to figure out how she's, you know, going to pay this rent. So she ends up getting a roommate. And Jennifer Jason Leigh's character comes there to be the roommate, and it sort of starts off like she's going to be okay and like normal, but she's like really stalkerish and really, really weird, and like kind of like acting the same way as her, and like doing odd stuff like cutting her hair the same way and being like really clingy. And it's essentially though about like, you know, things start to get worse and worse with the way she's acting and everything. It's a really, really intense movie. I always say, too, like when I've talked about Bridget Fonda, hopefully someday she comes back and, like, appears in a film again, because it's been years since she's been in anything. She's also in, Lake Placid, but she's been in a bunch of films. But I always was a big fan of her, so hopefully at some point she comes back. You know, also, one of my favorite character actors, Stephen Chablowski, he's in here. Just a really, really intense movie. Also from Umbrella Entertainment is a movie here called Lunatics, which stars Ted Raimi, and Bruce Campbell's in this movie as well. You know, Ted Raimi is Sam Raimi's brother, and he's been in a lot of Sam Raimi's projects throughout the years. And he's also, you know, been in a lot of horror movies and everything. This is essentially, though, about Ted Raimi's character, who's basically, like, has all sorts of problems and is, like, kind of crazy. And and it's about this girl who has the same kind of problems as well. She's got her own sort of things, and, like, essentially, though, he's trying to call this, like, phone, like, hotline kind of thing, but he ends up dialing this woman, and it's kind of about their sort of relationship and their kind of problems, and these two together with all sorts of their kind of crazy problems. This is one of those movies, too, that I don't think had ever been released in the U.S. on anything in the past, and, like, this one, like I said, is all regions, so you guys can watch this one, you know, in the U.S. as well without any problems. But really cool, this one has a release, you know, as well. The next ones here are from MVD's Marquee Collection line, and this is a movie called Not Without My Daughter. I had never seen this before, which stars Sally Field, and the actor who plays the husband was Alfred Manola. I'm always saying his name wrong, but was in, like, of course, like Spider-Man 2, and lots of stuff. But this movie was really, really, like, it was one of those movies. I think I remember seeing the cover to this, like, on VHS or something in the past, but it was one of those movies that was, like, an uncomfortable watch, because it was, like, so intense. It was, like, you know, making me, like, sort of, like, nervous, like, so nervous, this whole movie. But it was really well done. But it's basically, though, about Sally Fields, who is married to a man who is Iranian, and he has a daughter with her, and, you know, he's lived in America for 20 years, but he's a doctor, and, you know, where he's working, though, he's, like, people there are kind of being prejudiced to him, and they're saying, like, and this is also based on a totally true thing that happened. I was reading into it too, like, a couple little things were changed in this, but for the most part, this is, like, what had happened. But they were being prejudiced to him at where he worked, and they were saying really mean things and stuff, and, like, he was reading out, you know, newspaper and stuff like that. There was an Iranian newspaper, and it was basically, though, he, you know, talks his wife into going to Iran and saying, you know, I really want you to see my family. You know, they've come out here, some of them, but I want you to see, you know, to finally meet all my family and our daughter to see my family. And she's like, okay, we'll do this, but you have to promise me that we'll be safe. And he's like, yes, it'll only be 2 weeks. And of course, though, they get there, as soon as they get there, you know, it starts off like it's okay, but his parent, you know, his family, you know, her husband's family is like really being like really mean to her, and essentially though, when they're getting ready to leave, he's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but we're not going. And, you know, he starts screaming at her and, like, locks her in. And, like, there's this one woman in this movie, which was one of his family members, who was doing this thing that was creeping me out. And she was, like, covering her face like this, and it was like creeping me out so bad. This was like, I just found this movie so scary, and like just like I don't know, it was like sympathizing so much with Sally Field. Like I wanted to get away from this situation. It was like I said, it was like one of the most intense things I watched, especially knowing that this has happened and she had to deal with this, and she was getting screamed at and beaten by her husband, and it was just like I was crying. This was just an absolutely one of the most intense things I've watched in a long time. But it has on here, though, making a featurette and a theatrical trailer. But really, really great performances. I really liked this, but it just was a really, like a hard watch, just because it was just so intense and, like, you know, just like the whole thing. This one here is from the the Marquee Collection as well. This is a movie called Sleepover. I actually saw this one in theaters in 2004, and then like I totally forgot I saw this, and like saw it again like maybe 5 years ago on DVD. And this is actually a fun movie, because this is a movie that like has so many people that like you know, have gone on to be in so many things. This like has Alexis Vega is in here, Jane Lynch. This is like before Jane Lynch like really started, you know, popping up in more things. Like this is like an early thing for her, especially Steve Carell is in here. Was an early movie for him. I think this was like right before the 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is really what like launched him. He was in like a lot of like character actor roles for years before this, but this is like right before 40-Year-Old Virgin. Jeff Garland's in here, Brie Larson, you know, who went on to be in The Room. You know, lots of different people are in this, and this, you know, was Sarah Paxton? Yeah, Sarah Paxton is in this movie as well. You know, it was the Last House on the Left remake, and she was in Twin Peaks, you know, one episode of Twin Peaks, and lots of stuff. I've always been a fan of her forever. But this is essentially, though, about these friends that are all, these girls that are getting together for this, like, slumber party, and, like, they're, Alexis Verger's, group is kind of like the not popular girls, and then there's like the rival girls, which is Sarah Paxton's, you know, group is, and they're kind of like having this kind of scavenger hunt, and it's like Evan Peters is also in this movie. This is like an early, I think this like might be one of his first movies, and he is so goofy in this movie, like the role that he plays. This is just a really fun movie. I don't know if you didn't see this one in theaters, like when this came out, maybe you wouldn't like it as much, but to me, like, there's just so many great character actors in this movie. It's just a very fun film. It has a commentary track on here with the director. Oh yeah, Scout Taylor-Compton is also in this movie as well. This has also has some making of featurettes, Meet the Girls actress profiles, Ready, Set, Action featurette, gag reel, sleepover confessions. So all the features from the past DVD. So like some of these are real classic kind of stuff when they have like actress profiles and actor profiles. They don't have that stuff as much on, you know, DVD releases anymore, but definitely one, if you guys are a fan of that film, really cool. That one has got a Blu-ray release. And the next one here is from Film Rise and MVD. And this is called Who Are We Now? This is basically, though, about this woman who has just got out of prison, and she's had all sorts of kind of problems in the past, and you know, she's, you know, cleaned herself up and everything, and she wants to get her son back and get custody of her son, because her sister is kind of taking care of her son while she was in prison. And it's kind of about the whole thing of her trying to get the son back, and the sister doesn't really, you know, trust her sister who got out of prison, and doesn't think she can do it. And it's like Emma Roberts' character is like working with Jimmy Smits, who is playing like the defender, who is trying to get, you know, help get the woman to have custody of her child back. And that's essentially what it is. It's a different role for Emma Roberts, because it's much more kind of like serious kind of thing, and it's her like trying to, you know, kind of trying to prove that she can help, and kind of go up in the company where she's working to help, you know, to help this woman out and everything. But this is actually a really, really well done character piece film here. This one here is from a company called Film Movement, and it's a documentary called Kobe. And this is a really good documentary. And this is basically, though, about this a man who's a trans man who's gone through, through transitioning. And it's about a documentary about, you know, when he started to transition. And it's like, you know, he's been transitioning for like 5 years when this is going on, but there's archival footage, like, because he used to do YouTube videos while he was transitioning early on, and like even right before, you know, before he identified as a male and was female at the time, and before he transitioned and came out as transgender. And it was like in the very early stages, so right like when he came out as transgender, and like he was doing videos kind of talking about the whole thing and like the changes and everything. But essentially, though, this is all about, it's not one of those documentaries where it's like a real talky documentary. It's one of those documentaries where it lets, like, it kind of shows what he does in his life, and he's in, you know, works as an EMT, and kind of all about the things with his girlfriend and his family life, and it's kind of just like lets him do the things that he's doing in his life, and kind of like it talks to his parents, and kind of what his parents, you know, found out and how they reacted and all that kind of stuff. But it's probably one of the better documentaries I've seen in a really long time, and like a really, really well done documentary on the subject matter. This has on here, though, deleted scenes, but really would recommend you guys check that out. And the next ones here are from Indieplex Unlimited, and these are 3 different films. These are from the Retro Africa collection. These are 3 South African films here, and this is Charlie Steele, The Comedians, as well as Revenge. And I believe I reviewed some of these type of films in the past. I think I reviewed one of them that was called like Past or something. And that was a much more modern one, a new film. But these are films, one of them, they're all from 1984 and 1985, and these are South African films. And they're kind of takeoffs on kind of Hollywood films, but they're done like super, super indie, low budget. And it's like all kind of like local actors and everything. And like I said, I just want to let you guys know that these ones are available, but these are all from Indieplex Unlimited. But anyway, though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!